Alright, well, here's a little video to try to show somebody maybe how to build this tow truck, since I'm getting a lot of inquiries on how to build the tow truck mechanism. So what I have here is I just have a bar that comes out of the tow truck, and on that bar is literally this is a piece for a steering servo. Just cut off one of the bars. I kind of liked it because I kind of thought. And then this piece here is just a gate hinge at the hardware store. So it's a gate hinge here, and then a bar that comes up, and then this bar is actually what drives the whole mechanism, and I'll show you how that works. But I just have this chain, goes up to a little hook made with like a little piece of wire or a coat hanger or something, but you could just kind of bring that down and then hook it, and you would have the little mechanism there for the tow truck. This is what lifts the whole cars up and down. I have a little rubber pad at the end, kind of to help try to get some grip, because a lot of these cars are lowered and lowered. Let me see if I can get the body back on here. And then you need this to come all the way down to the ground, as flush as I can, so the height of any car, it should be able to slide under. And then some rubber pads here to help kind of grip the car. I drilled 2 holes in the gate hinge just to pass. This is a little chain from the hardware store as well. You could do it at different sizes and different they have different styles. So that's the easy part. Next is the inside. It's where it gets a little technical. There was definitely some engineering. So I have to unhook that. There's a hole in the body, so I don't have this big old gaping, and I had to figure out just about how much room it was going to take at full lift and full down so the body would clear. And then that's also how I have to remove it. I have to pass it past this point and get the body past there, or I can't get it off. So once it's off, the tow truck is out and about. So now what I have is a TB01 chassis. It's just a plastic tub chassis, and it's just a full chassis. The reason why I got this chassis was somebody had it for really cheap. I think I picked it up for like $50. It's just an all plastic tub chassis, and then I noticed that right up front it had a lot of plastic, and it looked like I can mount stuff to it. So you just want to be able to have areas that you can literally screw some bolts and nuts and bolts into. I had to add some weight into the front, which is just literally some heavy lead weight, or you could do pennies or whatever, quarters, whatever you want. I think I did like a heavy socket with some metal inside. So this helps weight down the front of the car, because when you go lifting something, it puts so much twist on the car that it doesn't do very good, and I want to lift the front wheels right off the ground, and then you can't steer. So now the main mechanism here is just 2 servos, and these are high. You need high torque servos. You can't go with cheap servos. I tried it with cheap servos. They overheat and you can burn them out. These actually still overheat, and you can only lift a car for if you can lift a car for a little while, but if you keep a car lifted for a long time, it puts a lot of stress on it. So it's 2 servos, but one of them is actually reversed, and the reason and how you do that is you just go buy they make a little adapter that just plugs into the servos. There's a bunch of extra wires, but what it does is it just reverses the polarity of one of the servos so you can match them. I tried it with 1 servo and it wouldn't work. So what I did is just put 2 servos together, and then right at the 2 servos I put a little bar between here. Actually, I think it's a screw that goes this way and a screw that goes that way that holds this together. So if just so happens if one servo happens to lift before the other, it doesn't stress or break anything. So this is how much play I have in it. This whole thing is just kind of loose, but you can see where the The little groove marks are right marks where the bar actually rides right on it. It took some time to try to figure out placement of the servos. Sometimes, every once in a while in the beginning it would do some weird glitching right at the beginning, and then the servos might go too far and bend back, but I finally figured out that it seemed like this was the spot. This little micro switch you see in here is just literally something that's just kind of a bar between the two, and then I'm using a bar in the below that's mounting a micro switch, and all that switch is powering is just, it's powering the head, these lights. When the bar goes, I wanted the lights to work, but I wanted the lights to work, only when the thing was lifting a car. So if you put the boom up, it would release the micro switch and then cause the light to go off. And then with the boom down, it would turn the light off. So when I was sitting on the track, I could put the boom down, turn the light off, and it wouldn't sit there just flashing, wasting the battery, and affecting any of the other guys on the drift track. Originally, I did build this so we could rescue cars off the track without physically having to go out and get them ourselves. And so far, it's been able to rescue 100% of every car that it goes out to get. Either by pushing it back or pulling it or whatever, it'll get a car all the way back somehow. So it has a 100% rate. Again, these servos can get hot, but all I really did was took another little bracket from the hardware store, a flat bracket here, and it goes across flat. So it's just a flat piece of metal that's got some holes in it, and basically I had to drill a hole or make sure a hole lined up. I think one hole lined up on one side, and I had to drill the hole for the other side. And then you can kind of see that these ones are one's a little forward, and I had to drill one back there underneath there to try to get two of them to like anchor that piece down onto this piece of plastic. I used a washer there to help level it all out. But this whole piece only mounts with 2 screws right there, and literally 2 where the servos. It's kind of hard to see, so we can get the light a little better. Maybe not. This is really difficult. Let's see. There's some glare, so maybe if I turn this way. So no, I can't even see it myself. Right where the servo, let me try to zoom it in. Right where the servo comes in, all I did is right mounting to one of the posts going up, I just put a screw through the servo, a spot on the servo and a spot on the arm, and that anchors the whole back half. So I have one there and I have one here, and what it does is, it just anchors the 2 servos. It anchors the 2 servos in the back, and you're probably gonna have to kind of mess with that, but my main thing was I needed to get the servos down low so they could clear putting a body on it. And but this whole piece comes off with just the 2 screws there and these 2 screws, and this whole mechanism is almost like a box, and it comes off. So you probably could do it in a box or like a tub or something, as long as you had enough clearance for maybe a groove cut out in the back. The main thing it really gets into critical is how high you do this, and you can see that this whole thing is just really tucked in here. I had to just, with making a piece of ball thread, that making the pivot point. It's just a piece of all thread bolt, and then you can just use nuts and bolts and figure out, like, if you want to move it this way or if you want to move it that way, or it just kind of helps nothing has to be real tight. It's just in there making it so everything works pretty good. This just anchors down. I think I just used one long. On this one, I just used one long screw to go from there all the way through with a nut on the backside locking it. But see, the whole bolt doesn't turn. It's just solid, so you can kind of get this. So that's basically the upper mounting point. if you're able to get a mounting point farther back, you'll get more leverage. And I also thought you could do another lift where you have a point, like a fulcrum kind of a thing, where you could put another little piece up and then have that pushed down on a servo, which would help kind of the angle of the force. But it was really difficult to try to get the, see if I could do the zoom back, to try to get the whole mechanism to work. You know, it took a little toying around, a little engineering, but you know, just to try to get stuff in there fit. But it literally just comes right off, and I could probably mount this right onto another vehicle. You know, just by figuring out how to anchor it down to the chassis somewhere, and someplace having a way to anchor these two. And if worst comes to worst, you could probably make a little bracket, or have like an L bracket or something else, or just some other kind of mounting, for that. I guess I wasn't really on it there, but this whole thing, you know, could be changed a couple different ways. You know, it was just what I came up with. I did have one way that lifted before, that lifted a little better. This one struggles a little bit. If the car is like super heavy, it might struggle, but you know, it does get the job done. Which is 2 aluminum bars, hole drilled, another little nut, screw, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that helps some. I'll maybe try to do a different video and see if this one's a little bit shorter, clearer. This is kind of long, but here's some video.